When we're setting up security, there are a few specific things we need to do in an order. So first of all, we're going to give all the employees a PIN. There's a couple of ways to do that. You can either go into the employee setup screen on the right-hand side underneath setup. We click on employees. We're going to choose your employee from the drop-down list in the top left corner. And at the bottom in the center, we're going to click on PIN. You pop in there a 4-digit PIN, and then we just repeat that. So that's one way of popping in the pin, and everyone can pop the pin in from here. Or from the appointment book screen, we can simply select the employee, come down to the bottom and change the pin from this window. And the same thing then can be done as well from the walk-in manager. We select on the employee at the top, come down, and we can change the pin there as well. So once everyone has their pin, we then go into setup and configuration on the right hand side there. Over on the left hand side, we're going to go down to the general tab and select security. Now you'll notice then on the security screen we have levels and access. So first of all, everyone needs to sit within a level. If someone isn't sitting within a level, they will sit under unassigned. So if you have a new employee at some point and you add them to shortcuts, they will then automatically go to unassigned, and you will need to move the employee just by selecting and then dragging and dropping, and we'll pop Lucy into employee there. So she's moved up. If any employee is left under unassigned, they will not appear on the login screen. So on the lock screen to access shortcuts, the employees under unassigned will not appear. So once you've got all your employees into the desired level, we then go to access to then decide which features, which areas of shortcuts each of these levels then has access to. Now there's two parts to the access as well, so they can have access to a screen so they can view it, and they can also then have access to whether they can action within that screen or not. So for example, you might give them access to be able to view their roster, but they can't change their roster. So, there's lots of different levels of security within shortcuts. So once you've selected on access, we'll go to full access at the top. And then you can see that of all the areas on the right-hand side, that pretty much then they're all ticked for full access. If we move down to employee, you can then see that a lot of the boxes then are unticked. And if we open up any of these boxes, you'll see that there's a big list of things inside there. So even though configuration isn't ticked at the top, when we go inside, you can see there then that they do have access to certain things inside. Yep. So with this particular one for configuration, they get access to the discounts setup screen. So you can see here that it's ticked on for screen, but it's not ticked on at the top next to action, which means that they can view this screen, but they can't action inside it. So just to bear that in mind, that when you're setting up security, you can work one way or the other. If they're all ticked and you untick at the top and then start ticking each of these, then they'll get access to those screens, but not to be able to action. If we tick at the top, you're giving them action. So then we work on the reverse and take away what you don't want them to be able to see and access at the same time. Sorry, see and actually action at the same time. So just bear in mind that the box at the top isn't necessarily a select all or deselect all. All right, so just bear that in mind. Then we can just keep going through and looking at each of the different areas until you're happy with that. Then just recall whose pin is full access. So if we go back to levels, we've got Sarah, Helen, and Anna here. They've got full access to the screen. So when we come down and click on security enabled, the checkbox down at the bottom, what it's going to require now is one of the full access pins. So now that I've just logged in from this screen with Anna's pin, then we come over to the right hand side, click on main, click on done first, and then we're going to exit shortcuts. When you then reopen shortcuts, it will reopen with the new security enabled.